Hey you guys, welcome back to Our Awaken. So I know it's been a while and I am shocked to say that I actually miss recording videos. Like I remember when I first started out, I used to be like, I don't want to do this, like, or I was really nervous. But now that I haven't done it in like 2 to 3 weeks, I feel like something's missing. You get what I'm saying? But I miss y'all. I hope y'all miss me too. And I know I'm supposed to do part 2 of the Sinners movie review, but since I haven't fully settled in yet and I still have to do like, just I want to make sure I'm giving you guys quality work. And like I said, the previous video for part 1, I did write out an entire script for that. That was 14 pages, might I add. So I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the same detailed just information and really getting my thoughts out before I just give you guys like a BS video. So I promise y'all after this one, that's going to be the next video. But in the meantime, while I have some time, I have my camera, I'm just going to do a little quick, talking video. And yeah, so let's get into it. So for today's topic, I just want to say when people warn you, you should probably consider listening to it. And when I say that, I'm not talking about like haters or people who want to give you bad advice because they're trying to sabotage you, because you'll be surprised there's really people in this world like that. And it do be people close to you or even just people who just don't want to see you win. I'm not talking about people like that. In this case, what I'm talking about is people who care about you. And I think it's important to have people around you who actually value you and who see your value more than you see your value. Of course, I'm not saying like go search for people who see your value more than you see your value, but what I mean is like people who care about you oftentimes, like, and I mean genuinely care about you, they tend to see you, like, see your value and actually respect you as a person and just value. And when you value something, you want to protect it, right? So I think it's really important to keep people around you who do care about you and who do want to refine you and just overall make sure that you are, being taken care of and they're looking out for your best interest. Oftentimes, these are the people who will see your light even when you might be dim or even when you don't see yourself. But also, like I said, they'll see people around you who could aid in dimming your light and they want to protect you from that because they care about you. So some ways to kind of tell like who these people are in your life are people who don't help you self-destruct, people who aren't there to like basically like help you self-sabotage. So like oftentimes it'll be the people who are telling you like, hey, you should do this, or hey, you should do that, and it's all things that are meant to better you as a person and not like just watch you like go to your demise. So it's like the people who feel comfortable with you doing things that aren't of your best interest, those are the people that you need to watch out for, okay? Even if they don't know you, when people tell you things, you should probably consider listening to it. At least open your mind to what they're saying as a warning. And I feel like when I think about like just like my childhood and anytime I was around friends who, of course, later on in my adult life, I realized these people are not really my friends. I've had teachers who actually like saw me as a person and saw how good of a person I was, and they would pull me to the side and warn me like, hey, that's not your friend, or oh, you should separate yourself from this person. Because I realized as I got older, when I started to see myself and really reflect back on my childhood, I didn't really see my value then. You get what I'm saying? Like I didn't really see like my light as a child. But of course, adults, people who have experienced life, people who have wisdom, they were able to see me. So of course, like teachers, you're around them often, right? So they can pick up on your character, also just like the type of person you are, and also just like what you could become. When they see you and they see the people that you're around, if they know your light and they see your light, they're oftentimes going to tell you like, hey, like this person you should kind of separate yourself from, just because they can have an idea of, all right, I see you can go down this path, that person can go down this path, but if you attach yourself to that person, then that can hinder you from the path that you're supposed to go down or that you could go down. And I feel like as I got older, I learned to really, of course, like now that I have discernment and now that I, like just gaining wisdom over time, I now see the importance of considering those things. And I'm also saying this, like when I think about, I want to say like just everything going on in media right now, right? Where let's say, for example, Halle Bailey and DDG, that's just one example that I'm just going to kind of briefly touch on just because I feel like everyone's talking about it. The entire internet was warning Halle about DDG and how she could have done better. And a part of me, of course, like I feel like you shouldn't just be quick to judge a person, but when people show you signs of like toxic behavior or just behavior that's not productive and someone is warning you about that, I feel like you should consider it just for your own safety. But if you're just blindly saying like, hey, I'm not listening to that, you could find yourself in a situation that is not like the best of circumstances just because you weren't willing to take heed to what you were warned against. And I feel like, of course, sometimes people are hesitant to take heed to certain warnings just because it's like, well, I know this person more than you do. But sometimes you don't see yourself the way people see you, but also when you're in situations, you're kind of blinded to things just because of the type of relationship you may have with the person. But people on the outside, because there are no really like any biases there or any like attachments, it's easier for them to see things for what it is versus you who's in the situation. You may not fully see it until things happen or a buildup of things happen. Then you're just like, damn, I should have listened. So I just learned that anytime people warn you, just take it into consideration and don't be so quick to just blindly brush it off because it's like, oh, I'm not listening to that. Like, no, you should take heed to it and just keep it in the back of your mind, even if you don't want to make actions on it. But when someone tells you something, oftentimes, like I said, it's because they see you, and I'm talking about people who actually care about you and don't want to sabotage you. When they see like good in you, they're going to want to give you good advice so that you can, you know, be the best version of yourself. So just take it into consideration. And I think it's really important to also take into consideration the person the information is coming from. So if you have a person who hasn't done you any wrong or anything like that, if they're giving you like, hey, you should kind of look out for this, I think it's of your best interest to consider it, just because it's like, well, this person isn't, you know, like they haven't shown you any type of like ill behavior. Like they haven't shown you anything for you to be like, oh, I don't trust you, or I don't want to hear what you have to say. In fact, those people are probably people who, like I said, they see your light more than you see yourself. And a lot of times, again, like us as people, we are often not as like, we're a little hard on ourselves. Like we have our insecurities and things like that, but people outside of us, they just see you and your goodness. Of course, like nobody's perfect, right? So we all have flaws, but it's just something worth considering, I would just say, just because you can find yourself avoiding situations that would have deterred you from just like a better reality. And sometimes people do have like just a better judgment of character or just even a better sense of discernment, so they may pick up on things that you don't pick up on, but it's like, how can I prove it to you? So it's just like, you know, guys, like just be mindful when people do give you warnings. Just take heed to it, consider it. You don't have to, you know, like make any action based off of it, but I do really think that it's worth to just take it into consideration so that you can avoid things. And I always say, like, I'm a person, I rather have the wisdom from other people's experiences to not make certain mistakes than to have to go through the mistake in order to learn from it. Of course, you can't avoid going through like bad experiences, right? Sometimes you got to go through things to learn it. But if you could have taken heed to what the person told you, to not find yourself in a situation that you wouldn't want to be in, it's worth just taking it into consideration. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this message, and I hope to see you in another one. Bye.